I'm Patrícia Buarque from Compor Comunicação, a PR agency specialized in design and architecture based in São Paulo, Brazil. Today, EXPO REVESTIR invited us to talk a little bit about communication, of course. I know many Brazilian architects and designers who want to sell their project and products in the USA. They are right. Everything's connected around all the world. So when I received this invitation from EXPO REVESTIR, I asked myself, why not talk about the American media and show how this market works? I thought it was a good idea to have professionals who want to sell their product and go further at work. So here we are. For this mission, I invited my partner and friend from New York City, Andrew Joseph, owner of AGJPR, PR office, also specialized in the areas of design and architecture. We have been working together, I guess, for the last 4 years for the Heinz project, which is a client of Compor Communication. And I can guarantee you, I learned a lot from him. And okay, since I'm not jealous, I can share him with you. Hello, dear. Thank you again for being here.
Hello, friends from Brazil and the Raise Project. Let's see, on March 14th of 2020, I was heading to Brazil to visit with you all as my role as a journalist from Aspire Design and Home, but we all know 2020 had something different planned for all of us. So I hope that by 2022, I'm on my way to Brazil again. Again, my name is Andrew Joseph. I run a PR firm called Andrew Joseph PR. We specialize in architecture, design, and all things home furnishings. As Patricia said, our paths crossed 4 years ago, and it's been a pleasure working with Patricia and her team and the rest of the Raise Project designers ever since. I've been in New York and a practicing professional now for 21 years. I started on the publishing side, first working at Vanity Fair and then Allure magazine. But at that time, I was in beauty and fashion. I did beauty and fashion PR for about 6 years until I just honestly hit a wall and needed to find another industry to pour my talent into. And I found a job at another firm that worked exclusively with architects and designers, and I immediately felt at home in that industry. I worked at that other firm for almost 6 years, and this previous summer, I celebrated 8 years in being having my own company. I've been very fortunate that I've had consistently amazing clients like the Raise Project. I also spend part of my time as a contributing digital editor for a publication here in the US called Aspire Design and Home. And, being that I started out working with magazines and that, my main profession is a public relations professional, being able to still work in the magazine sector is very informative to my practice and how I see how we represent clients. In a lot of ways, it gives me a competitive advantage because I'm seeing what all my competitors are pitching and how they are pitching, which I think makes us even better at what we do.
Okay, here in Brazil, design, architecture, media they are very different from fashion journalists or magazines or websites. Since you came from fashion media in the USA, is there any difference between the two subjects? I mean, architecture, design, and fashion. Is there any difference that you can tell us about?
Well, there's a couple of things I think I can say in that area. One, fashion is super fast paced and ephemeral. And look, I still love fashion. It's still very important to me to, I listen to the Business of Fashion podcast and find that I'm inspired by what's happening in our industry. I read the fashion magazines and I feel like it helps inform what's happening in our industry. But if I can be philosophical on a personal level, I think, what we have in our homes and how our homes represent who we are is very different than how fashion does that. Not that they're both equally as important, but I think home in a more significant way helps support who we are as human beings. As I mentioned, working in writing for Aspire Design and Home, I had written an article of March of last year in 2020 that I see that there might be a silver lining behind COVID and people that work in the home furnishings industry, because people would be captive to their homes and they're going to see every detail, every piece of grout that they have, every piece of artwork, every piece of sculpture, furniture that they have in their homes is going to take on new meaning, and there could very much be a boom. And I think a large part of that came true. And I don't think that is the same for fashion and beauty right now. I mean, how do you promote lipstick when everyone needs to wear a face mask?
Good question. At least we can sell sofa and rugs.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, and Andrew, tell me something. For example, if I want to show my home, or if I am an architect and I want to show my clients a house in an American magazine, what do journalists look for to show readers when they publish a project or product? I mean, as a Brazilian architect, what should I do to maybe have my project published in some American magazines, such as Aspire, as you said, for example?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think that what you really want to do is know the magazine that you're pitching to. Like a gallery magazine is all about art as it approaches design. So if you have amazing art in a project, that gallery would be a place to go. Same, I think, with El Decor and blue chip art, and how that is very central to what their editorial direction is. Aspire really likes to tell the voices of less known designers. Architectural Digest is very much about celebrities and who lives in the home. So I really think it is doing research and knowing what media it is you're pitching to. And now that's from a home and design perspective. I think if you are a furniture designer or a product designer, it is, if your product is not in Atlanta, Georgia, Atlanta Homes and Lifestyles is not going to cover it, because ultimately a magazine has to be responsible to their readers and be able to inform their readers and be a resource to their readers where they can find product or information. So I think those are really knowing who you're pitching and, being familiar with what their editorial content is. One time I received a pitch from a PR firm that said, "Oh, dear Andrew, we've really enjoyed all of the wedding coverage that you've written about over the years, and we'd like to introduce you to our events planner." And I'm like, "I've never written about a wedding in my entire life." It's just, you can't throw stuff out there and expect it to stick on the wall. You really have to be calculated and focused and know who you're pitching to.
Perfect. Yeah, I've heard many stories and cases about this. For example, there was this guy, he said some PR guy tried to pitch him with a brick, but he used it to write about house. So, like interior design and not bricks,
Oh my gosh, I love it.
Yeah. And Andrew, tell me something about social media, because I have the feeling here in Brazil, we connect more easily on social networks than in America. Take me as an example. I'm connected in social media with almost everybody I know, such as my doctor or my manicure, And how does it
Yep.
work in America? How can designers and architects draw attention to themselves when it comes to digital influencers and American journalists in Instagram or other networks, social media networks?
Well, I think it's all over the place. I mean, as a public relations professional, I think social media is so important because it is a visual, and particularly Instagram. It is a medium that allows you to curate your own magazine. I personally am very much about following all the people that are in my professional sphere, knowing what they're doing, paying attention to what they're posting. But there are some people that work for me that don't even have an Instagram account because they feel like that there's too much privacy that they're giving away. But when it comes to the interior design and architecture space, I would say 90% of the people use that as a business development tool that helps sell their services. It helps tell who they are as a designer or a maker or manufacturer. It helps reinforce who they are and what their values are as a business. So, I don't, to answer your question simply, it's different. It's different depending upon who it is. But generally speaking, I still think it's a very important tool that helps define who you are as a brand.
Yeah, perfect. It's strange to that you mentioned there are some people who work with you and they don't have social media. It's impossible to happen something like this in Brazil. Even my son, my 11 years old son, he has like 5, 6 Instagram accounts. So
Really?
really,
What are they all based on? I love it.
I have no idea. Yeah. Brazilian, we can communicate a lot, so I think that's why we are so connected to social medias.
It's a good thing.
Yes, Andrew, I think that's all I wanted to talk to you.
Thank you. Thank you very much for inviting me to speak.
Thank you so much, and I hope everything's fine in New York.
Yes. Bye.
Bye bye.